Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ben here. I'm back again today doing another video, and the subject of today's video is going to be on the Golden State Warriors. I'm going to basically be going over their offseason moves, specifically and most importantly the D'Angelo Russell signing, and then also to a lesser extent the Willie CauleyStein signing. So obviously the elephant in the room here is that the Warriors lost Kevin Durant. I'm not going to be talking too much about this loss of Kevin Durant, but I do just want to say briefly I don't think that they'll be as good as they were without Kevin Durant. I think that's pretty obvious. I don't think that D'Angelo Russell is an adequate replacement for him, and that you can't really replace a top 5 player in the league unless you're getting another top 5 player, as in it'd be pretty hard to replace Curry unless you were getting like James Harden. It'd be pretty hard to replace Giannis unless you were getting Durant, something like that. But so yes, I don't think, even though D'Angelo Russell had a good year, he was an all-star, I don't see him being a great replacement for Durant as far as just replacement for replacement, because he's a point guard slash shooting guard, whereas Durant is a forward and a 7-foot forward at that. So it's not going to be a great exact replacement, but it's better than getting nothing, because I really thought that the Warriors were basically just going to run it back with the Iguodala, Kevon Looney, basically make sure they retain those guys along with Jordan Bell and a few other guys. But no, they didn't. They basically went for it in signing D'Angelo Russell, and it's really convenient that Durant actually went to the Nets, because only if Durant went to the Nets could they get D'Angelo Russell because of certain rules with how cap space works and signing and trading. They would not have had the money to sign D'Angelo Russell outright, but because it was Durant going to the Nets, they basically used the exact money that they would have used for Durant's extension on D'Angelo Russell because of the sign-in trade. Because technically, it's going to be a sign-in trade of Durant for D'Angelo Russell. Most people aren't realizing that, but that's basically how they're doing it, is a sign-in trade scenario. And so I really think that it was smart and a heads-up play by the Warriors to get D'Lo when Durant had left. And then also, I do like the Willie CauleyStein signing. I think he'll be an adequate replacement for... I think this basically signals that they're not going to get DeMarcus Cousins back. I think he'll be an adequate replacement, though. Really quickly, I'll go over these guys' statistics. So Willie CauleyStein last year averaged 12 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block a game. Shot 56% from the field. But if you up that's in 27 minutes a night. If you up that to per 36 minutes a night, which is just a way of seeing if he got like good starters minutes, he'd be averaging 16 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block, along with, again, still 56% from the field. So really good per 36 numbers. And then D'Angelo Russell. So last year he averaged 21 points a game, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, 1 steal a game. He shot 43% from the field and 37% from 3, so pretty decent shooting splits for him. The 2 highest marks of his career as far as those 2 categories. Let's see here. That's in 30 minutes a night, but if you adjust to his per 36 minutes, he averaged 25 points per game, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, and then again shooting the 43% from the field and 37% from 3, so good percentages. So both guys had really good seasons, and I think that although DeMarcus Cousins is a little bit better than CauleyStein might be more of what this Warriors team needs, and that DeMarcus, I felt like it was sort of confusing as to where his order was in the pecking order of things. Like, should he be getting more shots than Draymond? Should he be getting as many shots as a Klay Thompson, or even more? Because DeMarcus Cousins, I think, when healthy, is basically a better player offensively than Klay Thompson, so it was confusing as to where his place was in the pecking order. And he wasn't fully healthy, and he really settled into like a 4th option after Durant, Curry, and then Thompson. But now I feel like the pecking order is much more clear. When everybody's healthy, I think the pecking order will pretty clearly be Curry, Thompson, D'Angelo Russell, and then Draymond, and then Willie CauleyStein. And so just to clear up quick, as far as like the speculation that D'Angelo Russell will be traded, I'm not really going to be covering anything with that in this deal. I'm just going to be talking about this as if they do just keep D'Angelo Russell and Willie CauleyStein and don't trade anybody, basically just going forward. So, and also another thing to talk about here is that they had to give up Andre Iguodala to get D'Angelo Russell, yes, that is a big sacrifice, but at this point he was going to be like 35, and I think his best days are behind him, and his contribution is still notable as far as like a locker room presence, but I think his on-court production is much more limited than we think. I remember watching the finals. Every time he took a three, I would say in my head, okay, that's a miss, and almost every time except for game 2 it was. So I felt pretty good. I feel pretty comfortable with the Warriors letting him go. The main concern for this team is going to be basically guarding opposing teams' guards, because between Curry and D'Angelo Russell, those are two really poor defenders, and they don't really have anyone to guard guards, considering that when everyone's healthy, Klay Thompson will be guarding small forwards. But I'm not too concerned about any given team. So let's say, like, what's a backcourt that would strike fear into me? Portland is one that comes to mind first. But really, you could have Klay as a small forward guard Dame Lillard. CJ is short enough that you could have Steph Curry comfortably guard him, and then you could have D'Angelo Russell guard Rodney Hood, who, no offense, but Rodney Hood at 6'8", D'Angelo Russell at 6'6". Rodney Hood's not going to take a complete advantage of that matchup and light you up for 30, so I wouldn't be too worried if I were them. Other backcourts that might worry you are the Rockets, but if you have Klay guarding Harden and you have Steph guarding Chris Paul, then you have D'Lo left on Eric Gordon. I feel pretty fine with that, considering that those guys on the other side would have to guard the same three of Curry, Westbrook, or Curry, Thompson, and Russell. And I don't think that it would basically be a wash as far as defense, because, Chris Paul used to be a good defender, but he's just like an average defender now. So I think they'd be fine with that. Other backcourts that might cause you panic. Let's see here. I'm trying to think. In the Western Conference specifically, maybe Denver, but I think Gary Harris and Jamal Murray are inconsistent enough that I wouldn't be completely nervous if I were the Warriors about guarding them. You could have Klay guard Murray, and you could have Steph guard Gary Harris, and they'd be fine. And then you could have D'Angelo Russell guard Will Barton, and I think they'd be just fine. Let's see here. Other teams, the Jazz might be a pretty big one with Mike Conley now and Donovan Mitchell, but I think it's pretty clear that you'd have Klay again guard Mitchell, you'd have D'Lo guarding Bogdanovich, and then you'd have Steph guarding Mike Conley. But there's no backcourt where I'm like, oh, the Warriors would be awful with this defense with D'Angelo and Steph as a defensive backcourt. Yes, they'll be bad, but again, when they get Klay back for the playoffs, he's going to cover up a lot of faults like he has been doing for Curry the past couple of years. And even still, if you have a lineup on the floor of Curry, Russell, Thompson, Green, and Willie CauleyStein, between Thompson, Stein, and Draymond Green, those are three above average to really good defenders. A former Defensive Player of the Year, a former all-defensive team guy in Thompson, and then a good rim protector in Willie CauleyStein. I wouldn't be too nervous about their defense, honestly. So besides those additions, I think that D'Lo is a good addition in that he's a good ISO scorer, and you might be saying well, the Warriors don't thrive on ISO scoring, but if you look back, Durant was primarily an ISO scorer, and so I don't think it's a bad thing that they got somebody that can just create without him. And you might be saying, well, Curry can create on his own, but again, Curry, if he gets a defender on him that's a little bit bigger and more physical, he does sometimes actually struggle to get off a shot in the paint. So I think Curry is definitely capable of being the ISO scorer for this team. And I don't think you want to be reliant completely on ISO scoring, but I think you want it to be a possibility in case your sets aren't working as far as the plays you're running. So I think D'Angelo Russell adds that factor to their offense. You can also get a nice little pick and roll going between him and Willie CauleyStein. The Warriors aren't a pick and roll team really, but again, it just adds another potential facet. And they did run some pick and rolls with Curry and Durant, and you could try in that with D'Angelo Russell and Willie CauleyStein and see how it goes. I don't think it's a bad move whatsoever, and a lot of people are saying, oh, with this team, they're going to miss the playoffs. I don't see it. I see the Warriors as a 4 or a 5 seed, honestly. They still seem pretty good to me. I'm not too worried about the losses of Iguodala or DeMarcus Cousins. or Jordan Bell, really, because they kept Kayvon Looney. They got Willie CauleyStein, who I think will be an adequate replacement for DeMarcus Cousins. And they lost Durant, of course, can't really do anything about that. But I think D'Angelo Russell is a decent replacement. You know, you're replacing a top 5, potentially top 2, top 3 player in the NBA with an all-star. That's a pretty good job of replacing somebody. So I still like what they did, and I think Curry is going to have a really good year. And I think if Clay comes back for the playoffs, I could still see this being like a finals level team. I really like a five man lineup of CauleyStein, Draymond, Clay, D'Angelo, and Steph. I think it's a really good mix of offense and defense, and I think they could easily make the Western Conference Finals, if not the finals, with that lineup. Yes, the seeding is going to be the challenge because they're probably going to be a 5 seed, I would bet, without Clay all year, but they could still be fine. You know, let's say like the Nuggets are the 1 seed and they get like the Blazers as the 4 seed. That's a pretty easy path to the Western Conference Finals for them, I think. Yes, those teams will be good and a little bit better than last year, but still I think the Warriors would have their numbers. Definitely the Blazers number. Fun fact, in their last 3 playoff matchups with the Blazers, the Warriors have gone 12-1. So the Blazers match up awfully with the Warriors. And then the Nuggets, I feel like the Warriors would just have more experience and have the better players in the series, so they'd still be fine. That's all I got for today's video, guys. Not as much as the other ones I've been doing, but I like these moves for the Warriors. I like Willie CauleyStein. He's a good, solid pickup. I don't mind that they lost Iguodala. I don't mind that they're going to basically not re-sign DeMarcus Cousins. And then the Durant loss is big, of course, but they did a decent job of replacing him with an all-star. So I would give them a B+ for how they did this offseason. They did pretty good. I mean, obviously, best case scenario would be like they keep Durant and Iguodala, and then they probably switch out CauleyStein for DeMarcus Cousins, but you can only do so much. They did pretty well with the hand they were dealt. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.